Hey YouTube, it's the Audio Olympian back with another video, and I'm coming to you from Audio Olympia, where the world meets through music, movies, and speakers. All right, today we are getting into it, finally dropping the video for you guys here on the Svs PB17 right here, the Juggernaut. So we'll get into that video here in a second. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe. Okay, so I've had this sub now for a little while, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So this video here, I'm going to start kind of a series of things about this sub and showing you some video comparison. I'm going to compare it and do some visual comparisons to the PB16, which is my war machine, and I've dubbed and named my new PB17 the Juggernaut. So we're going to have some fun here, and this is just kind of an intro overview video of the sub and some of the differences between this one and the 16. So let's get into it. Okay, obviously it is a bigger cone, a bigger driver. And when I purchase things now at the point in my, I guess, hunt for that Nirvana-esque sound that we want in our home theater systems, I've kind of reached that. I'm at the pinnacle for myself. Do I have the best system out there? Absolutely not. I spend more time working on the room now than I do my actual system here, because I've learned and realized over the past few years that the room makes more of the difference in helping your equipment reach its full potential. But it's really, really good enough for me. And I feel that where I am with my system, anything to get better sound, if that's what you're going after, is going to be a pretty big jump in price. And I just don't feel like if I spend that amount of money, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on whatever, new amp, processor, speakers, I just don't feel I'm going to get that much better performance than what I have right now. So I am very, very happy with my system. I like how it sounds. I enjoy it. And yeah, so if you're ever wondering, like, man, will it ever stop? Will I ever get to that point? Yes, you can. I have. So if I can do it, then you can do it as well. Okay, so starting out, I do have, if I want to include my the subwoofers inside of my towers here on my Golden Ear speakers, in front and back, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 subwoofers in my setup here. Because of my rears, which are Triton 3s, the original Triton 3, not the 3 Plus, but they do have powered subwoofer section in the lower end of it. I moved my Super Sub XL to the rear end of my room, so I got 3 subs across the back, what I call the rear stage of your theater room or listening room, whichever you have there. So 3 subs across the back of my rear stage and 4 subs across the back on front stage here. So that way, for me, it gives me a more 3D immersive all-around sound stage, especially on the low end for that LFE, to really hit and come in nice, especially when you need it in those specific moments in a movie. Not to mention when you got really good sound and bass instrumentals on music, oh, when that low end hits, it is magnificent. Okay, so what made me choose the 17 here, the SVS, is I wanted to go with something that was kind of new that nobody had done before. And we'll get into all the specs on this in another video here. Today I just wanted to kind of go over an overview and show you a few little clips here of the performance of this subwoofer here. But I believe the PB16 was the first one to have that 8-inch voice coil, and the 17 doubled that, so now it has a dual 8-inch voice coil, which I thought was very interesting. And then not to mention the 17-inch sub. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that might say and think, well, you got JTRs and a lot of other subwoofers that are the monster size sub. But keep this in mind. Those gigantic subs not everybody has the room or even the space in their home theaters or whatever they're using, just a random living room or family room or something like that. Not everybody has the space to be able to house a monster subwoofer like that. And even the 17 and the 16 are pretty big, and still not everybody might have the space for one of those. However, they still are in a decently sized box where you can push it off over in the corner, which I wouldn't recommend corner, but we'll get into that in another video. So I think it relatively can still fit in a room. Now, where you might run into the problem is the dynamics of the room. If you have a small room, too small, that subwoofer sound, the pressure level on it might be a little much for whatever else and other speakers are running in there, and just the dimensions of your room might not be adequate to have that subwoofer sound its best. Okay, so dual voice coil, bigger driver. I really do like the app usage that I can use to really tweak and fine tune the subwoofer right from my chair. I don't have to get up and crawl behind it or go back behind there at all and look at the setup and try to read it and have a light and all that type of stuff. I can just pull it right up on my phone and I can make any adjustments from there. Also in connection, just like the PB16, it has your RCAs, your interconnects, but it also does have the XLR. In my opinion, I find the XLR connection gives it the best sound over the interconnects, and I use a pretty moderate XLR and interconnects. I use monoprice, which are really, really good quality and very, very cost effective for being able to connect all of my subwoofers and my amps and my processor. Again, you can go check them out, monoprice, all different size and styles of cables from good, better, and best models at very, very affordable prices. Now, another thing I really like about the 17 and that I liked about the 16 as well, that it did give me a little bit, or I wish there was an option on my Golden Ear XXL, is they have the ability to daisy chain and you can connect other subwoofers to that connection, which one, it helps save on cable length and then, you know, trying to install or drive or run cables all the way back to your processor or receiver, whichever you're using. This allows you to be able to have subwoofers or other speakers up a little bit closer to it that you can connect one and then you can connect out to those. Now, I also will use a splitter on mine because like I said, I'm running 4 subwoofers up here in the front, which once I took out my XXL, I was able to get rid of one splitter. In my opinion, and I know a lot of people might disagree with this, but I find that when you add a splitter into the LFE signal, for me, I've always found that it kind of dials down the signal a little bit when, you know, it splits it off. And ideally, I would think it kind of would have to somewhat. You're going to get the extra resistance of that other cable in there. And when it's going to take a signal and split it out, I just feel that it's still not 100%, at least in anything that I've checked out and tested. I'm sure there might be people that would disagree with that or say, no, it's totally fine, run measurements and test. I probably could do that and find maybe that it is the same. But I've always felt, even on the effect of my subwoofers and bass, when I split a signal out through a splitter cable, which I would always rather run individual cables, but when I use a splitter, it just seems to dial down the impact. Like I don't feel my bass as much. I still feel it. It's probably just very, very slightly, for me, a little bit less. So if that's what you have to do, then that's what you have to do. But having the ability to kind of connect and daisy chain off of the amplifier in a device like this here, I don't get that same effect. When I connect another sub, I'm getting a full, or at least I feel like on the impact, I feel like I get the full potential performance of that other sub when I connect through the external port on a speaker like this. So to me, that's a big bonus. Along with that, it does have XLR output so that I can use an XLR cable from here over to my next powered subwoofer. Okay, so one of the things I really enjoy and why I originally kind of fell in love with the Golden Ear speakers when Sandy Gross was running the company, and when it came out, I think around 2012 is when the Triton series first dropped. Part of his philosophy is we make high-end affordable. So they were very good looking speakers, very simple, elegant, and sleek looking, which is not easy to do, which I understand why he did it that way. And so, because it was a very simple, sleek design, the gloss tops on the tops of the speakers, the plates, are just a nice gloss plastic. And again, it just has to look good. They don't rattle, they're well secured. But which I really appreciate, because that means he spent the majority of the budget on a speaker into the development and the research and design of the speaker, which paid off, I think, greatly. Most people would probably tell you those first generation Golden Ear speakers, they took the home theater or speaker world by storm. So, point being there, he spent more effort into the research and development of the speaker. Same thing that SVS decided to do on the 17 here, starting with the grill. The 16, which I really do like the grill, is that big metal grill, which I'm holding up right here. I do like it. It's really cool. Metal mesh here. Has a good look to it. Just really transformed the look of the subwoofer of the speaker. Now, to me, it kind of fits into my aesthetic here, which I kind of have like a Roman type of setting here. So I just kind of like all that Roman soldier, gladiator, Colosseum type thing. And this kind of reminds me of just like a shield that would a gladiator might be holding. So for me, I really did like that and I dig it. But however, I do use my subwoofer without the grills on them. I like them without any grills. So for the 17, now is just and I didn't even take it out of the plastic because again, I just like my subwoofers without the grill. Just a simple plastic cloth covered grill here that covers the face. And again, it doesn't really change much of how the speaker is going to look. Definitely doesn't do anything to the sound. I just prefer to have mine off. But this lets me know they took the cost or the development of the big mesh metal grill, said let's bring that down. Let's just do your standard grill that goes over the face of the subwoofer. We can use that extra budget to put in the research and development of the speaker. I appreciate that as a consumer. Okay, the other thing basically looks the exact same. You can see it, the top of it right here on my right, your left, and the 16 over here. I do like the fact that they did take the screen, the control panel off of the front of it here, like on the 16, and it's the same thing that's just in the back. But I think part of that also went along with they needed more space, surface area space on the front because the bigger driver, and at the same time, why have a control panel there when now we have the app that can communicate with the subwoofer through Bluetooth? So very good design. If it helps you save money so that you can make the speaker just all around better and perform better, why not do that? Now that a lot of that little hoopla is out of the way, and you can go and check out tons of other videos where people break down all the details and the look and the difference between this one and maybe the other. I haven't really seen too many people do a full-on one-on-one comparison with the 16, but they've just mentioned and talk about it, and you can go watch some of those videos to give you a little more details. I want to just kind of get into the sound of it. So I'm going to tell you right off the bat, as soon as I hooked it up, popped it in, put on a DVD because I prefer DVDs, 4Ks, they give you the best sound and the source, because I believe you're also getting a little bit of a power push from the player itself. And I use my Oppo 4K player, so that there I feel gives me my best, highest peak performing sound that I can produce in my room. So pop in a DVD, usually it's an Atmos demo disc, and crank it up. And what I found immediately out of the box, yes, this was the added bass that I was looking for, that I wanted to add into my system here. It was punchy, it was tight. For the size of it, it's still very fast. Gets so deep, so low. We'll see in some other videos where I'm gonna put out my Hertz tracker so that you can see how low it gets and do some testing on it. I got a video where I did that on my 16 to see how low it gets accurately with like really good sound. When you're doing tests like that though, I will kind of warn that when you're doing those tests, you are going to get a little bit of port shuffling here because these are the ported versions. I always like that. I want the bigger one, the ported version. I prefer that over sealed. There's the debate all day long, right? I'm not here to say which one is better. I just prefer the ported versions. When you do that, you do get a little bit of port shuffling. Now, you'll hear more of it on the camera than I do in my room. That's one. And two, the reason you get a little bit of that port shuffling is because it is just giving a full solid LFE signal at the lowest hertz, 19 hertz, 20 hertz, whatever I'm doing, straight to the subwoofer. So it is pushing its maximum capability, which that's why there are air holes there in the ports so that it can push air up. You do hear a little bit of that. On the camera, in my room, not so much. And if I'm watching a movie, really not so much because I have all the other surround sound come on. So one of the complaints people always make about, ported or vented subs is you get that port shuffling sound. Maybe in a demo. In a movie, to be honest, I don't know if I've ever really even heard it or paid attention to it at all while I'm watching a full movie or even a TV show or listening to music. So was there a noticeable difference between my 17 and 16? And absolutely yes. This is a more amped up, I guess you could kind of even say it might be your PB16 on PEDs, performance enhancement drugs, right? So a lot of people say steroids. I wouldn't say steroid. It's not like total night and day comparison. Just something that is enhanced, but you definitely can tell this thing is bigger, stronger, more powerful, gets deeper. Now, how does the bass sound? That's another aspect or factor that is very important. And when I say how does the bass sound, for me over the years, I've been able to tell or tune my ear for low end frequencies. I have some levels of what I call like shallow bass, your mid bass, and then your deep bass, right? Now, mid bass, I'm not referring to like a mid bass sound in, let's say, your Paradigm subwoofer or something like that. Mid bass just meaning how low end and smooth does the bass sound there. So your good, better, and best versions, right? I would put the 16 now compared to this, probably more mid bass level, and the 17 more at that full and extended bass. So that bass is deeper and smoother. So, but can you tell when I'm listening in the room? No, I cannot. They blend together perfectly. If you have a 16 and you're thinking of adding this in, it would match well, and you got the room and the dynamics of your room are gonna sustain for the SPL levels in your room. It's a good fit. If you're thinking of upgrading from the 16 to the 17, I would say definitely do it. You're going to notice a difference there immediately. Now, how does this perform? And I'm going to do a video with that too, but I'll let you know right now. How does this perform compared to my Golden Ear XXL? Because I did a video a while back comparing my XXL to my 16, and I felt in the performance of my XXL that it outperformed my 16. So I would say it was a little bit more like in that video I talked about the XXL because it's two active 12-inch drivers that are in it, and then you have the two passive radiators. So even though it's a smaller box on airflow volume is bigger. So the XXL shook my room more than the PB16 did. even though it's rated at a higher wattage level. So compared my 17 to my XXL, and I gotta admit, this thing does outperform that speaker there. So I guess we could say one 17-inch driver can outperform two active 12-inch drivers. Okay, so just some final thoughts here. If you're thinking of upgrading from your 16 to the 17, I give it a thumbs up. If it's in your budget, go for it. You will not be disappointed. Now, I haven't even really tweaked this into my system yet. I've just been playing with it out of the box, and it's given me that type of performance and excitement and results, even without tweaking it. I haven't went and tuned it in from my AVM70 and really ran a diagnostics on it to kind of fine tune all the speakers, because anytime you make a change in your room, you should always do that anyway. And that's the fun with your system, is just enjoying it and having fun going in and being able to get all the settings right. So I haven't even done that. I've just been popping all kinds of stuff in, everything from music to demos to movies, even some home movie things here. I've been watching some USB videos off of my phone. I transfer them over my laptop, put it on a USB drive, and then I can play them through my Oppo DVD player there. So even just stuff with like me and my kids or events that we've been to, just I wanted to check out to see how videos would sound there. And yeah, I mean, the deep bass depth on even home videos there is tremendously enhanced. Now, there is a question that I've seen out there that I haven't really thought much about. I have given it a little bit of thought. Somebody asked on another video, would it be better to go 2 PB16s or 1 17 here? And that answer that I would give to that is it's totally based on, one, obviously your budget. If you can afford it, hey, why not? But I would say what's more important is your room, your dynamics, and the dimension of your room. Can your room handle 2 16 subwoofers where they're not going to be pushed in the corner? Again, I prefer mine not to be in the corner. I know a lot of other people say, oh, you get the best sound in the corner. But for me, I've always found you get a little bit of also muffled sound out in the corner, because the sound waves are going to bounce off of the wall immediately, where if you have them a little bit more in the middle centers of your room, then the sound waves can actually give some room to travel. When it's traveling, they get bigger and bigger, right? Longer, deeper. So it allows it to, what I would just say, it allows it to breathe a little bit better. But if you have to put it in your corner, that's where you have to do it. So I would base it off of that. If you have the room and the dynamics for it, go for it. I think 2 PB16s probably would outperform 1 17, but maybe not that much. I would venture to say that 17 would still hold its own against both of them. But again, I haven't done that. I'm just kind of going off of sound and thought process right now. Because, and in addition, 2 subs are always going to be better than 1, because you're going to be able to smooth out that low frequency in your entire room. Whereas when you have 1 sub, it's requiring everything from the 1 sub to fill the whole room, right? So what's better, 1 source or 2 sources, right? 2 is always going to outperform 1. But done right, I don't think it's going to outperform it much. So if you want maybe a little bit more chest thumping, kind of face slapping bass, I would go with 1 17, because this thing pushes some air. You're going to be able to see on some videos that I got coming out here. This thing can move some air. I was sitting at my chair, and I forgot what movie I was watching. I think A Quiet Place, Part 2. And it hit, and I felt the wind out of the ports blow on my face. It was crazy. And I got a good 12 feet distance from my front row seating to where the speaker is. And I've never had any sub do that to me before. Is it worth the upgrade and the cost? Well, I would say yes, because if you are going to purchase, and let's go retail, brand new out of the box. If you are going to purchase that PB16, which most of them are on sale right now, but let's just say retail to retail, right? If you are going to purchase the 16, but you're kind of thinking, oh, I might want something a little bit more bigger, stronger, better, definitely go with the 17 if your budget can handle that. If not, the 16 is still going to be just as good, or at least good enough for you. It's going to give you that deep bass and punch there. It's going to have enough power to fill the room. But for those of us that are bass heads and we love to have that impact there, that 17 is where it's at. So we'll check out some clips here to end, just to give you a little bit of an idea. I know there's always people that are like, oh, you can't really understand, or why do you do clips? It doesn't make sense. Well, I just like to show the subwoofers in action, and just so that you know it's got some life and it can punch, and help build that little dream and imagination for yourself of like, what would it be like in my room, right? Or what would it be like if I had that sub? So that's why I do those here. So thanks for watching, you guys. Drop a comment down below. Again, like, subscribe if you found this entertaining at all, or even just like, hey, I feel sorry for the guy, I'll go ahead and subscribe to his channel. Anything like that is very much appreciated. We'll check out these clips and I'll see you on the next video.
Feel that?
Maybe it's the power trying to come back on.